Emma woke to golden sun rays spilling through the tall windows of her seventh-floor apartment in New York City. The light painted her small, cozy bedroom in soft hues, and as she stretched, she watched the city lights below fade into the morning glow. Half-drawn curtains framed a view of towering skyscrapers and endless streets, a world that never slept. Emma wasn't a morning person, never had been, but something about the city bathed in dawn's light made her linger a moment longer before dragging herself out of bed. The air outside was crisp, the kind of chilly that nipped at her fingertips as she wrapped herself in a thick wool coat and headed out. Her destination? The little coffee shop 2 blocks away. Her daily ritual to ease into the chaos of New York. The shop, tucked between a deli and a laundromat, was her sanctuary. The hum of the city softened there, replaced by the gentle clink of cups and the murmur of early risers. She ordered her usual, a medium latte with an extra shot, and settled into her favorite corner, letting the warmth of the cup seep into her hands. One morning, something different caught her eye. By the window sat a man she hadn't seen before. He had tousled dark curls and a calm presence that seemed to slow the world around him. His eyes were fixed on the city outside, one hand loosely cradling a coffee mug. He didn't fidget or check his phone like everyone else. He just was. Emma felt a tug of curiosity. There was something about him. Maybe the way he held his coffee, like he had all the time in the world, that made her pause. Their eyes met as she grabbed her latte from the counter. He gave her a warm, easy smile, the kind that felt like it could melt the morning chill. Her heart did a little flip, and she quickly looked away, clutching her coffee a bit tighter. She found a seat a few tables over, opened her book, and pretended to read, stealing glances when she thought he wouldn't notice. His calm demeanor, his quiet confidence, it was magnetic. As she left the shop, she couldn't resist one last look over her shoulder. He was still there, gazing out the window, and a strange sense of nostalgia washed over her, like she'd known him forever. For the next few mornings, they played this quiet game of glances and smiles. Emma would walk in, order her latte, and feel her pulse quicken when she saw him by the window. He'd nod or smile, and she'd smile back, her cheeks warming. It became the best part of her day, this unspoken connection with a stranger who felt anything but. She started looking forward to mornings, a small miracle for someone who usually hits snooze 3 times. But one morning, the window seat was empty. Emma's heart sank as she scanned the shop. No tousled curls, no calm presence. She sat down, her latte suddenly less comforting. Was he okay? She wondered. Maybe he was just visiting and left the city. The thought left a hollow ache in her chest. She sipped her coffee, staring at the empty seat, and tried to shake it off. He was just a stranger, after all. Why did it feel like more? "Mind if I sit?" The voice startled her. She looked up, and there he was, standing by her table, coffee in hand, that same warm smile lighting up his face. Her breath caught. "Sure," she said, her voice softer than she meant it to be. She gestured to the chair across from her, her heart racing. "I'm Leo," he said, settling into the seat. His voice was warm, genuine, like a favorite song you hadn't heard in years. He extended a hand. "Emma," she replied, shaking his hand. His touch was warm, steady, and sent a spark through her. She smiled, feeling that familiar flutter again. "Nice to meet you." They talked, and it was easy, like they'd been doing it forever. Leo was a listener, asking about her life, her dreams, her love for the city's chaos. She told him about her tiny apartment, how she'd moved to New York chasing a career in graphic design, but was still figuring things out. He didn't push or pry, just nodded, his eyes holding hers like he really saw her. "I come here to slow down," he said, when she asked why he was always at the coffee shop. "The city's a lot, you know. This place, it's like a pause button." Emma laughed. "I get that. It's my pause button, too." They lingered until the barista started giving them pointed looks to free up the table. As they stepped outside, the chilly air hit them, but Emma felt warm. Leo walked her back toward her apartment, their steps slow, like neither wanted the moment to end. "See you tomorrow?" he asked, his eyes hopeful. "Definitely," she said, her smile wide. And so it went. Mornings became their thing, coffee, conversation, and a connection that grew stronger each day. Emma learned Leo was an artist, sketching scenes of the city in a worn notebook he carried everywhere. He showed her a few drawings, street corners, subway stations, the skyline at dusk. They were beautiful, alive with detail, and she felt a pang of admiration for his talent. But life wasn't all coffee shop magic. Emma's family back in Ohio was a constant weight on her shoulders. Her parents, especially her mom, never missed a chance to remind her she was wasting her potential. She'd graduated with a degree in graphic design, but hadn't landed a steady job yet. Freelance gigs were sporadic, and her savings were dwindling. Every phone call home was a lecture. "Emma, when are you going to get a real job?" her mom would say, her voice sharp through the phone. "You're 26, living in that expensive city, scraping by. Your sister's already a manager at her firm. Why can't you be more like her?" Her dad wasn't much better. "You're too old to be chasing dreams, Emma. Come home. Work at the local ad agency. It's stable." And her sister, Claire, the golden child, loved to chime in. "You're still jobless? God, Emma, maybe New York's not for you. You're just drifting." The worst part? They weren't entirely wrong. Emma felt stuck, her portfolio gathering dust while she sent out endless applications. The city was her dream, but it was also a pressure cooker, and her family's words stung. She didn't tell Leo about this, not yet. She wanted to keep their mornings light, free from her baggage. One snowy morning, everything changed. Leo slid a small notebook across the table to her. "I want you to see this," he said, his voice soft but nervous. Emma opened it, her breath catching. The pages were filled with sketches of her, sipping coffee, reading her book, laughing mid-sentence. Every detail was perfect. The way her hair fell over one eye, the curve of her smile. At the bottom of one page, in neat handwriting, were the words, "In a city of millions, I found you." Her eyes stung with tears. "Leo, this is beautiful," she whispered. "I see you, Emma," he said, his voice steady. "Not just here, but everywhere. You make this city feel like home." She reached for his hand, her heart full. In that moment, she knew her mornings and her life had changed forever. Leo had a secret he hadn't shared. He wasn't just an artist sketching city scenes. He was Leonardo Hart, heir to a real estate empire worth millions. His family owned half the buildings in Manhattan, or so it felt sometimes. But Leo hated the spotlight, the expectations, the way people changed when they knew his name. He'd spent years searching for love, only to find women who saw dollar signs instead of him. They'd fawn over his wealth, their smiles calculated, their affection conditional. So he'd stepped back, living simply, dressing in worn jackets and jeans, blending into the city's rhythm. The coffee shop was his escape, a place where no one knew who he was. Until Emma. She was different. She didn't ask about his job or his bank account. She laughed at his corny jokes, shared stories about her quirky neighbors, and looked at him like he was just Leo. He hadn't told her the truth yet, not because he didn't trust her, but because he wanted to be sure. Sure that she saw him for him, not his money. Every morning with her made him more certain she was the real thing. One evening, Leo invited Emma to a small art gallery in Brooklyn. It wasn't one of his family's properties, just a cozy spot he loved for its local artists. Emma showed up in a simple sweater and jeans, her hair loose, her smile bright. They wandered through the gallery, pausing at paintings and sculptures, their shoulders brushing as they talked. "You ever think about showing your work?" Emma asked, nodding toward the sketches he'd shown her. Leo shrugged, a shy smile tugging at his lips. "Maybe someday. I'm not big on attention." She laughed. "You'd be a hit. Those sketches. They're alive, Leo. You see things other people miss." He looked at her, his heart swelling. "I see you," he said softly. She blushed, nudging him playfully. Smooth talker. They ended the night at a diner, sharing fries and milkshakes, talking until the staff started mopping the floors. Leo walked her home, the city quiet, under a blanket of snow. At her building's door, he hesitated, then leaned in and kissed her. It was soft, tentative, but it felt like a promise. Emma kissed him back, her hands finding his, and for the first time in years, Leo felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Emma's family, though, wasn't impressed. She'd made the mistake of mentioning Leo during a tense phone call with her mom. It was a rare moment of excitement. She'd wanted to share how happy she was. Big mistake. "A barista?" her mom scoffed when Emma described Leo as an artist who hung out at a coffee shop. "Emma, you're dating a broke guy who probably can't even pay his rent. You need someone stable, not another dreamer." Emma's heart thudded as Leo's words echoed in her ears. The city skyline sparkled below the rooftop restaurant, but her eyes were locked on him, his expression a mix of nerves and sincerity. "What do you mean, you haven't been honest?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, the chilly night air forgotten. Leo ran a hand through his dark curls, a gesture she'd grown to adore. "I'm not just an artist, Emma. My full name is Leonardo Hart. My family owns Hart Properties, real estate, mostly here in New York. Well, I'm a millionaire." Emma blinked, her mind scrambling to catch up. "Wait, Hart Properties? The company that owns, like, half the skyscrapers in Manhattan?" He nodded, his eyes searching hers. "Yeah, that's them. That's me." She stood there, the noise of the city fading into a dull hum. The Leo she knew wore a worn-out jacket, sketched in a tattered notebook, and sipped coffee like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. Now he was telling her he was rich? "But you're always at the coffee shop," she said, almost to herself. "You never acted like this." "I didn't want to," Leo said, his voice soft but steady. "I've spent years trying to find someone who sees me, not my bank account. Every time I thought I found love, it was fake. Women who wanted my money, not me. So I started living simply, blending in. The coffee shop was my escape, where no one knew who I was." He took a step closer, his hand reaching for hers. "Then I met you. You didn't care about any of that. You just liked me." Emma's head was spinning, but his touch grounded her. She thought back to their mornings, his warm smiles, their easy conversations, the way he listened when she rambled about her dreams. "I had no idea," she said, a small laugh escaping. I thought you were just a guy who loved coffee and drawing. I am that guy, he said, his smile softening. But I'm also this one. And I want you to know all of me. She squeezed his hand, her heart steadying. I'm glad you told me. It doesn't change anything. You're still Leo, the guy who makes my mornings better. He pulled her into a hug, his arms warm and sure. You have no idea how much that means, he whispered, his voice thick with relief. The next few weeks were a whirlwind, like something out of a movie Emma never thought she'd star in. Leo opened up about his life, his family's empire, the weight of being an heir, the loneliness of never knowing who to trust. He told her about the women who'd chased his wealth, their smiles calculated, their affection fading when he tested them by pretending to be just Leo. Emma listened, her heart aching for the walls he'd built to protect himself. But he also showed her pieces of his world. A private tour of a sleek building his family owned, a quiet dinner at a restaurant he'd helped design years ago. He never flaunted his money, but he used it to make their moments special. Small gestures, like surprising her with her favorite pastries or taking her to a hidden jazz club in the village. Emma, meanwhile, was still wrestling with her own battles. Her freelance graphic design gigs were picking up. She'd landed a few small projects, enough to keep her afloat. But her family's criticism was relentless. During a tense phone call with her mom, the usual lecture came fast and hard. Emma, you're still chasing this art nonsense, her mom said, her voice sharp through the phone. And now you're dating some nobody who hangs out in coffee shops? When are you going to grow up and come home? He's not a nobody, Emma said, her throat tight. He's kind, he's talented, and he makes me happy. Why can't that be enough? Her mom sighed, heavy with disappointment. Happiness doesn't pay the bills. You're jobless, Emma. You can't afford to be this naive. It wasn't true, she wasn't jobless anymore, but her mom's words still stung. Emma had been grinding, sending out portfolios, taking on small design jobs for local businesses. It wasn't glamorous, but it was progress. Her sister, Claire, was even worse. During a family Zoom call, Claire smirked, her manicured nails tapping her wine glass. So, this Leo guy, she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. What's his deal? Is he like a starving artist or what? You're gonna end up supporting him, Em. He's an artist, and he's good at it, Emma snapped, her cheeks burning. He's not mooching off me. He's different. Claire rolled her eyes. Sure, Em. Sounds like a real winner. You're both gonna be broke forever. Emma ended the call early, her hands trembling. She hated how her family's words made her second-guess herself, planting seeds of doubt about her choices. But the next morning, when she saw Leo at the coffee shop, his smile erased it all. He didn't know about her family's judgment. She wasn't ready to burden him with that. She just wanted to hold on to their mornings, where the world felt simple and good. He's not a barista, Emma said, her voice tight. He's kind, and he makes me happy. Isn't that enough? Her mom sighed, the sound heavy with disappointment. Happiness doesn't pay bills. You're jobless, Emma. You can't afford to be this naive. Claire was worse. During a family Zoom call, she smirked, her perfectly manicured nails tapping her wine glass. So, this Leo guy, she said, her tone dripping with condescension. What's his deal? Does he even have a job? Or is he just mooching off you? He's an artist, Emma snapped, her cheeks burning. And he's not mooching. He's different. He cares about me. Claire rolled her eyes. Sure, Em. Sounds like a real catch. You're gonna end up supporting him while you're both broke. Emma ended the call early, her hands shaking. She hated how they made her doubt herself, how they twisted her happiness into something foolish. But when she saw Leo the next morning, his smile washed it all away. He didn't know about her family's judgment, and she wasn't ready to tell him. She just wanted to hold on to this feeling a little longer. Weeks turned into months, and Emma and Leo's mornings became a routine of love and laughter. They explored the city together. Street markets, hidden bookstores, quiet parks tucked between skyscrapers. Leo's sketches started including more of her. Emma laughing at a street performer, Emma bundled up in his scarf on a windy day. Each drawing felt like a love letter, and Emma's heart grew fuller with everyone. But the pressure from her family didn't let up. Her mom sent her job listings for stable careers back in Ohio. Her dad called to say they were worried she was throwing her life away. Claire texted her articles about how to spot a loser boyfriend. Emma ignored them, but the words gnawed at her. She wasn't jobless anymore. She'd landed a few freelance design gigs, but they weren't enough to silence her family's criticism. And deep down, she worried they might be right about her future, even if they were wrong about Leo. One evening, Leo took her to a rooftop restaurant, a place with twinkling lights and a view of the city skyline. It was fancier than their usual haunts, and Emma felt a flicker of unease about the cost. "Leo, this place looks expensive," she whispered as they sat down. He smiled, unfazed. "Don't worry. I've got it." She hesitated but let it go. The night was perfect. Good food, better conversation, and Leo's hand warm in hers. As they stood by the railing, looking out at the city, he pulled her close. "Emma," he said, his voice serious, "there's something I need to tell you." Her heart skipped. "What is it?" He took a deep breath, his eyes searching hers. "I haven't been completely honest about who I am."